Hello, welcome back. Today I will speak about a book of mine, a grimoire, called Lilith. And Lilith is, I have to say, I always speak about my characters in my books. To say it does not necessarily mean that Lilith is just a simple character. Sometimes, you need to find words which are more simple and representative for what I'm talking about, because finally I am talking about the book of Lilith that I have written. To say it is my own interpretation, it is my own expertise, it is my own knowledge, say the things that I speak or I know about Lilith. It is part of research, it is part of understanding, or even for me seeking knowledge or seeking understanding on different thematics of Lilith. Say it is a study for me as well. So the work that I work on my books, it does include that part that I do take very much seriously. It is a work of study, finally a book, no? In the same time, my books are not simple manuals. They are actually not manuals. They are literally works. They have that higher level of a literal work, and what that means. Say, well, as I always say, there are many books, but there are many different type of books. That's why I always like to express that part too. Say, well, it does make a difference, and it is more work for me as well. The way I create my books, I do include a lot of things, and that what makes the book special as well. No, it's not that I am complaining. I am not complaining. I'm just saying that literal work or a book or a novel that creates characters or imagines new characters or whatever the book does, does require a lot of knowledge as well, and a lot of work on my side. And that part of the understanding of who Lilith is that part that interests me the most. That was as well when I was writing the book, or even now. So, well, my interests do not change. My interests always remain the same. And we have spoken the other times in the other recording. This is a continuation, it's the recording part of a playlist where I speak about Lilith. And it is, say, always a continuation. That's why it's best to listen from the beginning. But I always try to make a little introduction for each recording, so they are somehow connected with one another. And in the other recording, we have spoken about the different aspects of Lilith that appears, or that we are able to see through art, through the representation of history, archaeology, languages, or whatever different type of cultures. It is an element of Lilith as well. And then we spoke about the different elements of Lilith: her personality, her character, her appearance, her powers or abilities, or different aspects of her origin. And today we will speak about something new. And I would like to start to talk about different colors of Lilith. To say the predominant color of Lilith is always the color white. That's the most predominant, that it is almost 80-90% of painting. That's why sometimes in a painting that it is covered in snow, it's a presentation of a landscape and a specific type of tree or a specific type of atmosphere. Even if the Lilith does not appear that, there it is element of Lilith. Or it can be the same with the water lily, or lilies plural, no? In some representations she does appear, in most of them she does appear, and those representations are very beautiful representations of Lilith. So Lilith, also say, does carry a lot of beauty wherever she goes. The element of beauty always surrounds Lilith. Another aspect that I didn't talk so much and I find very beautiful is the aspect of barefoot. Lilith appears always barefoot. And her feet are often shown, so it is the element of the entire body of Lilith, the beauty of her, no? But there is a predominant aspect on the barefoot feet of Lilith. And there is an elegancy to her movement. There is an elegant part of Lilith, the way she appears. It seems sometimes even supernatural. Say Lilith sometimes is floating or has that ability to float in the air, or sometimes we see her in the element almost like flying or hanging from a tree, or that element of her feet not touching the earth. That speaks too about her divine origin. It is true. And in a painting, it does mean so well. Sometimes the feet of Lily are on earth, sometimes on wet, with the element of the water, of the earth, of the element of the grass, no? And sometimes she does not touch the earth. She is with her feet in the air. That's very much Lilith. As a bird, say well, Lilith is very much represented by the different elements, but one of them is the bird. So yeah, the bird. Say well, the bird does exactly that, no? Sometimes it is on the earth, sometimes she is not. She is in the air, flying. That's why the birds, you say, if one analyzes the aspects of birds, can find a lot of understanding on the thematic of Lilith as well. Another element which I call the most important element of Lilith, say well, it is one maybe not so obvious, but it is most important symbol of Lilith or element. It is the cave. It's a simple element of the cave. And of course, sometimes it's the element of the mountain or the element of the sky, or it is a very open type of environment or in nature. And we do have the element of the snow. I have said that the element of Lilith very much, and the element of the flowers, especially the water lily. Her name represents, sometimes you say, well, we know her mostly as Lilith, but it is sometimes Lilithus, Lilithua, Lilithu, Lilithua, it's like it's always a little changes. But I think the word Lilith, it is almost like an element, and it does include the element of the light, of the element of the white. And it does have, as I've said, a lot of further meaning, because this is not just a simple fact, it does have other meanings as well. And I think another important aspect is the aspect of her long, beautiful, luscious red hair. Sometimes it does appear with darker hair, but mostly with red reddish hair. And most of the landscapes, or most of the feeling that one has in these paintings too as well, that we have seen, or in general the element of Lilith that appears, does create an element of the solitude, element of melancholy, element of something, someone said beauty that creates melancholy, or that beauty that is a little bit lost in the gaze. It's very much Lilith. It is a part of her hypnotic power, or the hypnotic gaze. And so, well, Lilith is often depicted with her eyes closed, because her gaze is sacred, her gaze is very powerful. And say, well, that in the element of the closed eyes, one understands the power. Things move in a certain order when it comes to Lilith only. This is the element of Lilith only. So, say, well, there are some different aspects or different parts that all play a role in the elements of Lilith. It is they say, well, the elements which are a little bit contradictory, So, well, the owl has the very strong gaze and very strong eyes, but we see Lilith always her gaze away, and her appearance almost asleep or with her eyes closed, floating or sleeping. that's element 2 of the hypnotic power of Lilith. Or when she appears with that strong, beautiful light, it's almost like a silver, golden type of light. It speaks about her divine origin. And of course the water lily, we say, well, the water lily, there are different ones. So, well, I have seen all white flowers are connected to lilies, or flowers in general, but there is a specific water lily, or to say a specific type of flower that has ovulation type of petals. It turns in a specific way, and that's the flower of lilies, the water lily. Other aspects of Lilith, it is the element of her curls, of her curly hair. It's almost sometimes represented as a synonym for the ramifications of a tree. So, well, it almost wants to say that Lilith and the tree is one. Always Lilith appears with the element of the tree. And the element of the water we have, of course, the element of the snow. So, well, it is the same thing. The water is the snow as well. And it is a combination of those aspects that do transform themselves. That is very much Lilith. It's that feeling where I see the snow, so where it is cold, and then the warm sunshine of the rays of the sun comes on that snow, and it does create a certain shimmer, a certain element of that golden light or silver light that I'm talking about. That is very much Lilith. It is very magical as well. So I say, well, that's the beauty of Lilith. It does dwell in that simplicity. At the same time, that simple thing creates a magnificent, or it's just one can miss it as well. That makes it special as well. Lilith has that too. You say it does not show it to everyone. It does not. Not everyone gets it, or not everyone receives it. That too is very much Lilith. And there are the moments, of course, I say the element of the snow is very predominant, always comes through, and in a very strong way as well, that element of Lilith. And it is a combination of the owl. So, well, we can find the owl in a very cold environment as the Lilith as well. Same time, there are owls too that can live in very hot environments as well. But it is more cold predominant. That's very much how Lilith is as well. Because it's to the element of the white of the owl, and say, well, the owl does have they are all white, no, but some have some different colors, feathers, more like on the yellow, greyish, black type of spots, or it's not always white. And that appears often in the paintings too, where Lilith's energy I recognize is that white snow, and then in the painting appears like a black part of a tree, and it is very screeching. It is element of the owl as well. The owl screeches, this element of something different. That's very much Lilith. It is very unique. So, well, it is extraordinary. No, so it is that too speaks about how Lilith is. That element of something supernatural. So the trees always do have a specific form when it comes to Lilith, or they bend in the wind. There is a very strong wind, the element of the strong wind, and you see the tree or trees bending in the wind in the painting. It is very much Lilith. An environment like that, full with wind, full with that element of the air, the element of the bird. There's very strong wind, the trees are moving, almost sometimes such a strong wind that the trees can move very down, very fierce, no? That too is the element of Lilith. Or the screech of birds, or the sound of birds, different type of birds, and say, well, it is not always the singing part of the bird, it is more the the other sounds that birds make that are not singing birds. That's very much Lilith as well. So anything of the wild, the element of the wild, the wildness, the wilderness, the element of all what wild includes is very much Lilith. Even the element of the ice, or of the snow, or a frozen lake, or something like even dangerous, or cut through like the snow. A piece of snow can be almost like a piece of glass, or the icicles that grow in the element of the snow is very much Lilith. One has to understand, and it is included too in that element of the purity, of the divine origin of Lilith. They are symbols that represent Lilith. And there's the element of the light with the light. It is, for example, on the frozen icicle, when the light hits that icicle, it translucents something, it creates even more light. That's too very much Lilith. So it's like the light with the cold. So it is the element of the cold, which is very important when it comes to Lilith. And the element of the screeching noise. So, well, the sounds of the owls, I've said, or other birds that do not sing. So, well, it is not a simple singing bird. It is a sound that it is different. Especially sounds that sometimes sound strange. There's the element of Lilith as well. There are birds who sound very strange. Sometimes you don't know, or almost like a screech, or a call of a bird or something, that grabs one's attention, or one cannot not hear it. That's very much Lilith.